Let's go to Eric S. He asks, should the Yankees unretire some numbers? For example, Billy Martin was a proud Yankee and helped win the 52 and 53 World Series, but he is not in the same category as Mantle, Howard, Pettit, etc.
No, unless...
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
Stacey, stuffy with the cold, but ready to go.
Both of us are ill. We're going to get through it. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. You guys know what time it is. It's Fanmail Friday. And let me just give props to the insiders who have pretty much stuffed the entire show with questions. So I appreciate that, guys.
Good work,
I was sort of begging them, like, we need more questions. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that. I forgot what day of the week it was, by the way, New Year's Day. Well, I don't know why I thought it was a Thursday. And I sent out this, the deadline's today. And then I realized 20 minutes later, I'm like, wait, no, it's Wednesday. I'm like, no, deadline's tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I started off the new year great.
The new year doesn't really start till Monday of next week.
We're doing great. Okay. So Fanmail Friday, if you're new, we do it every Friday. We have insiders who ask us questions. We have YouTubers who ask us questions, or YouTube viewers. I don't know if any of them are YouTubers. If you are, let us know. We'll subscribe to your channel. And every week we start off with Insider Betty. So here we go. I'm not comfortable with counting on LeMahieu as a regular player. Do you think it's time to give Peraza a genuine shot, or do you think the Cardinals could make Brendan Donovan available?
I'd love for Brendan Donovan to be available, but I don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't seem like they've had any motivation to move him, really. LeMahieu, I'd agree with her, though. I think what's going to happen is what we've been saying all along, and John Heyman agreed with us on Wednesday. It seems like they're going to give him a shot at spring training, and if he's able to play, he'll make the roster. But if he's unable to play, they're going to have to cut ties with him. The guy that I keep seeing in the trade market that people are talking about is Kim out of the Padres.
Oh, yes.
We're very in on him. He's a very underappreciated, underspoken about name. Wouldn't necessarily take a lot to get him. And really solid fielder. So I think that's someone to look out for. But I don't think Brendan Donovan would be made available by the Cardinals. I couldn't picture that.
Yeah, it's going to... Third base is going to be interesting. That's going to be the position. If they don't make a move before spring training, if they don't make some sort of like surprise move before spring training starts, that's going to be the position that I think everyone looks at during spring training to see what happens. And all eyes will be on DJ LeMahieu, whether it's fair or not, but that's going to be what happens, because if the Yankees don't make a move, he's the one who's going to be there until he isn't. So,
you're right. And it's on him to stay healthy too, which is a big concern for him.
Yeah. But thank you for the question, Betty.
Let's go to David F. He's our second question. He says, Happy New Year, guys. What was the biggest trade that you wish the Yankees would have not made? Mine is Ken Phelps for Jay Buhner. We should have kept Buhner. Well, it sounds like he's a little sad about the past, Stacey. What's your move on this?
At the time, it seems ridiculous, but when you look at history and everything that happened after that trade, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, it would have been nice to have prime Jay Buhner on the Yankees, but the Yankees had a lot of good players that helped them win in that dynasty. And what did Jay Buhner do?
A lot of people are going to wind up complaining about the Sonny Gray trade, but people forget that the year they made the trade for him, he was excellent in 2017. I can't think of many trades that were complete disasters. The only one that really comes to mind immediately that was just a complete, utter disaster is the Joey Gallo trade. That one, and it mainly because the Yankees were so in on Gallo for years. Remember, he wasn't a a 1 year we want him now guy. They wanted him for years and years and years. Finally wound up acquiring him, and he was just atrocious from day one with the Yankees. So, to me, it's a Joey Gallo move.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other trades that bothered me, but I can't really think of anything. And the Joey Gallo one is just disappointing because of the way it worked out. Because at the time, getting Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo seemed like the coolest thing ever for the Yankees when it happened.
I loved that deadline, and then it wound up not paying dividends immediately.
Right. Thank you, David. Next question from Insider Robert. Do you think losing Soto to the Mets and not paying so much was a good thing in the long run so we can accumulate more players and talent and fill out the roster?
Yeah, we've heard this plan looked at as Plan B, right? The Soto signing was going to be Plan A, and making these other roster moves is Plan B. I'll say this. They've spent more money this offseason on 1 year salaries than the Soto move would have been. Like, you can't say they haven't recovered nicely because they've spent about $75 million in this offseason on the 1 year of salaries, and Soto would have cost them about 50. So I think they've made plenty of moves. They filled out the roster, and maybe in the long run, Plan B will be a better move. Maybe not signing Soto will be the best thing that happened to them. That without them thinking it was the best thing that happened to them. Well, and it'll only be this year to tell. But I agree with you. I agree with him, Robert. I think that in the long run, this could wind up being more fruitful than re-signing Soto.
Right, because if they did get Soto and they spent all that money that they were going to be spending on him, what was it, 47.5 a year? Who else could they have gotten?
Yeah, they would have had, compared to where they're at now, it would have been about $30 million. So not much room.
Right.
Now they wouldn't have needed Cody Bellinger, but I mean, there wouldn't have been much room for anything else. Maybe they still would have got Goldschmidt, but they weren't going to be in the free market, that's for sure.
Right.
I don't know. They wouldn't have made much more room. Probably not Devin Williams.
Right.
So overall, roster-wise, they're probably better now, but you're never going to know. You're never going to know the answer. But I think overall, for long-term success of the team, this might have been the better way to go.
Right. Because it was funny when everything was happening with Soto, or, before everything happened and people were doing the pros and the cons. It's like, okay, well, you get Juan Soto back, but you also can't really do many more moves after that. If you lose Juan Soto, you have a chance to fill in some plugs with better players than you would have if you had signed Juan Soto, because you wouldn't have been able to afford those players. So it's amusing to me because people were doing the pros and cons and they were trying to be, trying to not seem like so doom and gloom, like, oh my God, what if we do lose Juan Soto? And then as soon as he went to the Mets, those same people were freaking out, which I thought was really funny because I thought, what happened to, he's going to be too much money. We'd be better off without him coming from you.
And the whole thing, they definitely had plenty of holes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
So, not signing Soto helped them fill those holes.
Yep.
Let's go to Eric S. He asks, should the Yankees unretire some numbers? For example, Billy Martin was a proud Yankee and helped win the 52 and 53 World Series, but he is not in the same category as Mantle, Howard, Pettit, etc.
No, unless someone murders someone, then you can unretire their number and take it off the wall and do whatever you need to do. But no, they're not going to unretire anyone.
I agree with you. Last time I checked, O.J. Simpson isn't a former Yankee. If he was, I'd say unretire the number.
Yeah.
Other than that, part of the Yankees having so many numbers unavailable is what makes the Yankees the Yankees.
Right.
You have 27 world championships. That's part of their storied history. So that's part of the reason why so many numbers are retired. There's so many iconic players. That's what led to so many championships. So no, I don't think I wouldn't touch that. I think that's what makes the Yankees the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you wouldn't decide years later after electing someone to the Hall of Fame and think to yourself, well, these other guys are so much better than him. Maybe we should take him out.
Except Harold Baines. He shouldn't have gotten in to begin with.
No, he shouldn't have gotten in. I agree with that. He's a nice dude, but
I'm sure he's a delight. That doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
He's a Hall of Fame person, but not a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think what makes the Yankees is the absurd amount of guys that have the numbers retired. So I wouldn't touch it personally.
Yeah. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. And if you'd like to be part of next week's Fanmail Friday, post a reply on our videos Monday through Thursday, which since it's the off season, we're doing Mondays and Wednesdays. Mostly, if that changes, you'll just know. Go to YouTube and just leave the question underneath the video. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. You get top priority in the Insiders Club. Your questions are answered in segment 1 or segment 2 in this case. The link is in the description. And it's not only for Fanmail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, more Fanmail Friday.
The NFL playoffs are almost here, and it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's personally thrilling. We're finally getting into Super Bowl season, so you can get your futures bets in, along with hockey bets, basketball bets. I'm focusing on the Spanish Soccer League, La Liga. I got Real Madrid tomorrow to win on the money line. Love that. And you can find it all on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner on the NFL. Stacey, more insider questions, and then we'll get to our YouTube questions afterwards. First, we're going to go to Casey. Casey says, would you trade Volpe and Oswaldo for someone like a Bo Bichette? That's a tough one. It's a really good question. I think yes. Only because I think Bichette's upside is a little higher than Volpe's, and I think Bichette's proven a little more at the major league level so far. But it is one that I would think about, and I don't necessarily think I'd fault the Yankees for not doing.
He's a shortstop? Is he? Oh my God. See, I don't even remember. I thought he was a second baseman. Okay. Never mind. That's right. Yeah, he collided with Springer and nearly killed him in the the wild card series. Yeah, that's right.
He's a fielder. He's a really good bat. It would be a tough question though. I think Bichette's proven himself more at the major league level, which would entice me more to make that move. But I wouldn't hate on the Yankees for not making it either. The problem with the trade is Oswaldo.
Right. I don't really want to get rid of him.
I think Oswaldo has tremendous amount of potential. The Yankees just don't want to unlock that. So I don't know which one that I would do. Right now, if I were the Yankees, I would stay pat, and I think they would too. I don't think the Blue Jays have much motivation to make this move either.
Right.
But I wouldn't explore that option. But I don't think it's a terrible trade idea. I don't.
I can't believe I forgot he played shortstop.
It's fine.
I'll blame my illness. All right. Next question from Insider Bobby. Thoughts on TJ Rumfield at some point coming up and getting some MLB reps at first to spell Goldie? I know Bellinger can play first also, but wouldn't hate giving the kid a look during the year.
Yeah, I doubt it. I'm going to pull up TJ Rumfield's stats for you last year.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, in 2024, he played on 2 teams throughout the minor leagues. He had 15 homers, 73 RBIs, a 294 average, and a 370 on base. Here's the thing. It's baseball has a much different feel than a sport like, let's say, hockey, where you can call a guy up and get a feel for him and play him kind of on the third line and see where he slides in. Baseball's different. You're out there all on your own and when you're at bat, and a lot of times minor league guys get taken advantage of early on. It's kind of hard to get a guy's feet wet in baseball per se. So I don't know if he's going to get time. I do wonder, like we were discussing the other day, Stacey, who their utility backup first baseman is going to kind of be. They really don't have one on the roster right now. I mean, I guess you could say Oswaldo, we got a little bit of time there last year, but not enough, certainly. There will be a move they make to give Goldschmidt some time off. I don't think it's been made yet, though. I don't think that guy's on the roster yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Unless, well, I mean, could it be Ben Rice?
I would say if they don't make a move for a utility player, Ben Rice will be on the opening day roster and he'll be the backup first baseman. But I would think they'd prefer somebody else. You will see Ben Rice get his run this year, though. Yeah, I don't know if Ben Rice, to me, if they're looking to develop him and develop his bat, and clearly they didn't want him at the major league level at the end of the year because they want his bats to continue developing, he's not getting any better by sitting on the bench at the major league level and getting 4 at-bats a week. He's getting better playing in AAA. So I think they'd rather get like a veteran type player they can plug behind Goldschmidt. So, play good defense, hit 220, and, hit once a week or something like that. As opposed to Ben Rice, who they're going to want to get consistent at-bats.
Right.
Ethan says, "Hey, Brian and Stacy, I have been in the process of starting my own baseball podcast with some friends. And so my question this week is, do you have any advice for starting a baseball podcast? I very much enjoy researching and talking baseball, but I want to know if there were any advice you guys have for someone starting with zero experience in broadcasting or anything communications related." Well, Ethan, me and Stacy both went to college for this. So it's not, I don't think I can give you advice in, 30 seconds of how to be a broadcaster. I don't know. Love to talk. Don't necessarily hate the sound of your own voice. Watch a lot of sports.
Yeah.
The best advice that I could possibly give you, and I think Stacy would agree, don't be afraid to give your wholehearted opinion. Don't be afraid of what anyone else thinks. Just give your wholehearted opinion on something. If it winds up being wrong, who cares? We're all wrong at some point in life. So that's the advice that I would give when it comes to talking about sports for a living.
Yeah. I mean, these days anyone can start a podcast because, they make it so easy for people to do that. You just sign up for certain things, and certain things are free that you can sign up for. I mean, the time is limited for what you can use them for. You can get things on Amazon that aren't expensive, like lights and microphones. And, you don't have to go crazy with all that stuff yet until maybe it becomes something bigger than just you and your friends doing a baseball podcast. And just know that it's not easy to build an audience from scratch. You have to have support behind you, unless you have some sort of gimmick. Then maybe you can do that. Or, if you have some venture capitalists backing you and helping you have a whole network. But you don't have to major in broadcasting to be a broadcaster, obviously.
At all.
I would agree. Make sure you like the sound of your own voice. Make sure you speak clearly. I find this an issue with some of the younger people. No offense to my co-host, but I find that some of the younger people who are podcasting tend to not enunciate as well. Not you. I'm saying in your age range. People just talk too fast. I don't know what it is about your generation where you talk too fast and don't enunciate correctly. So just make sure you do that. But the voice thing is a big thing because it's just, for me as a woman, the hate that we get is because we're women speaking about sports. But you also get the audience members who say that they don't like your voice or something silly like that, and they won't listen. Forget those people.
Don't take what other people have to say about your sound, your opinion, or anything to heart. They are simply jealous.
You can't. You wouldn't want to do it again. You wouldn't, because you get it every day.
Every day there is somebody who doesn't like something me or Stacy says, and you have to learn to brush it aside because there's always going to be someone that disagrees with what you have to say because they want to do what you're doing. So I would say that for sure, and also don't get discouraged too easily.
Right.
It's really hard to build an audience. It's really hard to have confidence. It's really hard to develop your own persona. It takes a while. I mean, I could only imagine how many minutes on air me and Stacy have logged in at this point between my WFAN and Sirius and Stacy. We've done a lot of talking in our lifetime. So, it takes a lot of practice and a lot of natural doing. So don't be hard on yourself. Just keep working at it.
And that's the other thing. When I first started doing this particular job, I was very strict and regimented, and I would actually write out scripts, and I wasn't sounding natural. So then I condensed it more to a rundown where I gave myself things to talk about, but I'd be able to speak more freely. And my personality started coming out instead of sounding so robotic. So make sure your personality comes out too.
And make sure you find out what works for you when it comes to pre-show prep is so important. I mean, me and Stacy have a rundown that we follow together, but we also do our own individual pre-show prep. I keep mine on my cell phone or my iPad. I write stuff down sometimes. Whatever winds up working for you. It took me forever on WFAN to learn what worked for me and how to get my thoughts out, whether it was bullet points or scripts or anything. So you got to take a while to really learn your craft and learn how to do things. It's not a one-day process. So, well, I guess the best advice that we're both going to give you is work at it. Don't give up and keep consistently grinding. You'll get there at some point.
Yep. Okay, so that's it with the insiders. And we're moving on to one question from YouTube, and then we have another question from YouTube that we're making the third segment because this guy is giving Robbie Garnes a run for his money. Here's the first YouTube question from Liam McGough. I believe that's how you say it. Are there any third base options for the Yankees on the trade market besides Arenado? They can't rely on LeMahieu to bounce back. He's beyond done.
So weirdly enough, before we came on the air, Stacey, I don't know if you saw this, Bob Nightingale released an article. Now, I don't know how much you believe his sources and stuff, but if you do, Bob Nightingale put out an article saying that the Yankees are heavily pursuing Alex Bregman. Again, I don't know how much credence you give that, but if they put themselves back in the Bregman market, I do personally believe that Bregman would be the final over-the-top piece to put them really in World Series contention. I do, I think they could still be in contention without signing Bregman, but I think he'd be the final piece. I did hear the last team that was really involved in Bregman was the Detroit Tigers.
Yes,
but apparently
I heard that too.
The financial offer was not necessarily where Bregman wanted to be at. So if the Yankees are willing to come over the top and give Bregman a deal he's for, now I know that could be risky, but I think Bregman fits them very well only because he's not a power bat and they don't need that. They need a guy that consistently gets on base and is going to fill the position really well. And I think Alex Bregman does that. So I wouldn't hate a Bregman move. And if they're in on him, I think it would be a good signing. I think it's the signing that puts him over the top personally.
That would be really interesting. I did not see that article, but I'm going to have to check it out. Yeah, because I was looking through things and I had seen the news kind of slow down about him, but I figured it was because of the holidays and because of the new year and that things would pick up again. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah. Coming up next, one of the longest YouTube questions we've ever gotten. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a Duran Duran concert where I got to stare at Simon Le Bon from literally 2 feet from the stage. It was the best experience of my life. Now Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With Gametime Picks, you can find amazing deals and you can see the view from your seat before buying. And the super deal offers great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. So as I teased before this segment, this is definitely one of the longest questions we've gotten on YouTube. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness. And then I realized, oh wait, this would actually make a good third segment for Fanmail Friday. So we'll have you look at it too, and you tell us what you think about the length of this. But this is from Jesse Aaron B, 9362.
You want me to take it?
If you'd like, sure.
Probably above the word limit. Sorry. Happy New Year. Love the show. Can you get deep on Oswaldo Cabrera? It seems like Cabrera is overlooked in any conversation about the 2025 Yankees and beyond. Or he's mentioned as some kind of backup plan, often not a good backup plan. I see his stats. They don't lie, but he has qualities that aren't captured in these stats. He is such a team player. He has heart. He has showed up in tough situations, and he has gotten on some roles that he has gotten benched. The year before coming up to the Yankees, he was an MVP in both the regular and postseason in minor league ball. I know he has some fielding mistakes, but from my observations, he has been elite considering he is often coming off the bench to play any number of positions. I heard someone talk about how his fielding stats are on par with some of the big players. do you have seen these stats or reference? I wonder what would have happened if 10% of the smoke boom blew up Verdugo's butt would have devoted to highlighting the strengths of Cabrera last year. And even watching games where Cabrera did something clutch, I've seen announcers seemingly ignore him. I just don't get not giving him more of a chance, highlighting his strengths, etc. I just feel like given the heart this guy has, if he were shown more appreciation, we might see him soar. Thoughts? First of all, do not take this as if you give us an insanely long question, you will get your own segment.
Right.
It's not the case. Please don't.
That is not an invitation.
No, it is not. Stacey, interesting one though.
Mhm.
I like the question. I like highlighting Oswaldo Cabrera. I don't know because it feels like the Yankees have for long neglected Oswaldo Cabrera and giving him the chance that I think he deserves. He puts up ridiculous numbers in the minor leagues. And to the Yankees' credit, though, when they've given him a serious run in the major leagues, he hasn't performed. Like they have given him chances. You can't deny that. And he hasn't necessarily performed. His fielding is fine. It's not great. It's fine. And there isn't an analytic that measures heart, unfortunately. So he might have great heart out there. He might play with a lot of passion, and that's wonderful. They don't see any of it that way, and they won't. So I do wish he'd get a little bit of a longer run, but you got to remember they're in win now mode. They are in win a World Series this year mode, and teams like that are not going to give career minor leaguers chances to develop themselves. It's just not how teams work that way. So I guess the best answer I have for you, Stacey, is I don't know. Analytics are not measured by heart, and they're going to give him the play when they feel he deserves it.
Yeah. I like that he's the type of player who's embraced his role and has come out and said, put me wherever you need me to be. I will do whatever you need me to do. Because you always want a guy like that on the team who's willing to do that. I know he had the joke that he had, how many different gloves in his bag when he was going around during spring training because he never knew what position he was going to play. But I feel like that's an underrated
quality.
Yeah, that's an underrated quality. It's an underrated type of player too, because everyone feels like you need to have all-stars at every single position and that all your backups need to be all-stars, and that's not how it works. And I think I like that he's embraced what he is, and yeah, he's gotten some chances, and this is what he's going to do. I know it's frustrating when you see the Yankees blowing smoke up other people's rear ends and, giving them chance after chance after chance after chance. But to be fair, as much as we didn't like it, Alex Verdugo is more of an established player than Oswaldo Cabrera, so it's understandable that they gave him chance after chance after chance. But again, I think this is what Oswaldo Cabrera is going to be for the Yankees.
Also, there are reasons to why it may, to the naked eye, it may seem like they are just doing things, out of the seat of their pants. They're just doing things because of feeling. That's not what they do. In modern day baseball, I know we mentioned Billy Martin earlier in the episode. Modern day baseball does not work like Billy Martin worked. Billy Martin would not survive in today's game because there are no emotion-based decisions in baseball today. It is all based on there is a number proving why they do what they do for every little thing. And behind that is a reason why Oswaldo doesn't play as much. There is a reason why Verdugo was playing as much. There is a stat that they will use to prove to you why they are doing what they're doing. There is a reason for it. Boone is not, blowing smoke up Verdugo's butt because he just loves Verdugo so much. There is a reason why they're playing him so much. Just that there's a reason why, Oswaldo is not playing. We don't have that reason, but the reason exists. We agree with you. I think he deserves more of a shot, but let's not let the Yankees haven't given him a shot at all. They have given him chances, and he hasn't hit when he's given the chance.
Right. Although, it's also, I don't know. I feel like it's weird. Baseball is working in a way now where, people will say, oh, this guy had a shot and he didn't do anything. And it's like, the guy plays like 4 games and they sit him for 2, then they put him up again for 3 and they sit him for 3 and like that sort of thing. And it almost feels like the old days where TV shows were canceled after 1 episode because they didn't get an episode, like they didn't get an audience. And like there are certain TV shows that you couldn't believe lasted, right? And then there are other ones that you couldn't believe didn't last because of how things worked out. And it feels like that with baseball sometimes. Like people are always like, oh, they gave him plenty of time to play. Like, who was it? Estevan Florial? People were like, oh, they gave him a good shot. I'm like, really? Because like they play him for a game, sit him for 5, and then play him again. That's enough of a shot for you, for him riding the pine? Like, okay.
But again, it's hard to give guys consistent play time that are coming up and trying to make a name for themselves on a win now team. Like the Cincinnati Reds can afford to let a player just play and play and play and play because if they're going to win 70 games, they can afford to let a guy hit 180 throughout the year and kind of like get his feet wet and work himself out. The Yankees can't afford to do that. They don't have, if you're in win now mode, so it makes it more difficult to develop guys. I'll give them that. But I want both sides of the fence here because at the same time, they haven't given guys the opportunity to really, lay their groundwork down and really get used to playing at the major league level.
Right. Because the only time that guys come up these days, like early, it's not really performance, it's necessity, usually.
True, yeah. Very true.
Someone's hurt, they have to come up. It's not because they want them to come up. It's not because they're thinking, all right, this guy's ready, let's bring him up. It's usually, oh, someone's going to be out for 2 months. Let's bring someone up to replace him. It's just different. But as you said, the Yankees are a different team than other teams, and they can develop these guys in the minors, but it's hard for them to get chances in the majors, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, it's the truth.
So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor in baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that will do it for this edition of this first Fanmail Friday of 2025 and this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you next week.